Good.
Okay, recording has started. So this is our week 2 for OGL 360. Hopefully everyone had a nice restful weekend and everyone's ready to get things started. So I know that we had talked about this week took a little bit of planning, and there was some special instructions that we needed to take a look at and kind of see. So I'd like to kind of go over that and just, first of all, was everyone able to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's kind of go through it and figure out what your LPI opinions are of it. Does anybody want to start?
I mean, I feel like the LPI and the SurveyMonkey questions are pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were, asking a lot of feedback questions. How do you like to be praised? That kind of stuff. How consistently are you asking, feedback? How are you taking that feedback? And a lot of the LPI is a lot of the same way. So, for instance, sets a personal example of what he or she expects. And on the SurveyMonkey quiz thing, it said, I just lost it, sorry. How often does your supervisor give you feedback about your work? So just a lot of them, go hand in hand, back and forth.
I sat there and I tried to figure out which ones linked to each one. But some of the ones, I didn't like some of the SurveyMonkey ones because I felt like it was like, I don't know about you guys, but I looked at the supervisor one, even though he said you could look at the coworker one. Some of them I didn't like because it would say like, how professionally does your supervisor behave? And I was like, well, what's your definition of professional? Mm-hmm. Are we talking about, are they leading and guiding and helping employees do training and how well they speak and not using slang, or what's your definition of professional? Or just the one question I hated was, how effective is your supervisor? And I was like, can you really answer that with a highly effective, not effective, whatever, I was like, that really seems like it would be an open-ended question, to really talk about something, because I don't think you can really just say, my supervisor's good, and that's it. Like the LPI just had so many different specific categories that I felt were so much better.
Yeah. I felt like the LPI was more personable to the person, where you could talk more about them, whereas SurveyMonkey was all about just work specifically, not the type of person they are. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it had to do with your personal interpretation of the questions. If you didn't feel like your leadership or your coworker or you were on the same level or wavelength, then your answer would be totally different than if you guys were totally on the same mindset, if that makes sense. To me, how effective is someone or how good someone is at something is totally left up to interpretation, because someone's like, oh yeah, I'm doing so great on this, and it's your interpretation of what you're doing, right? By the same token, someone else is like, they're total morons and they do not know what they're doing. Oh my gosh, they're not pulling their weight, blah, blah, blah. So I think a lot of it was kind of left onto your interpretation and what your feelings of it were, instead of more concrete answers, if that makes sense. Like the effectiveness of someone or the ability of someone is so different than someone else's opinion or views of effective are, if that makes sense.
I feel like you'd have to look at the whole list of the LPI, like each one of the 30 things, to be like, are you an effective leader? You need to answer like that's like all of it. Like, how can you answer it in one question? Are you effective? Well, like in what area and what instance and like with what?
Right. And then describe what effective means to you. Like for some people, being effective means being a micromanager. To me, that is not an effective way of managing. So it depends on what you describe as effective.
I totally agree.
But I think it kind of goes along with the quiz, and it kind of leads you to maybe interpret what's happening and compare it to what's in black and white. Like if you read the book, a lot of times you don't have a straight answer in those 50 gabillion questions that you have to match up. It's like, well, what do you interpret coming out of that?
Exactly.
So sometimes I think that's where he's going with that. Like it's left up to our own interpretation of what's happening or what's not happening.
I think what would make it difficult is if this is something like, if this was part of an evaluation process, like at my government job, all those are turned in to HR and personnel, you know, and they look at it too. And I think, well, how are they going to look at it if you know, just looking at the piece of paper, you know, not knowing the people or how they interact or anything like that?
Because there's no context behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many components that can play into an answer. And it also, and this is just my opinion, there's a huge difference between how or what you perceive on a person who is your coworker and a person who is your leader. To me, that's a huge difference on not only the actions taken, but the directions given and the expectations behind it. Like, I'm not going to expect, if Alyssa and I are coworkers, I'm not going to expect her to give me answers to questions that I can't figure out, right? I'm going to be expecting Austin, because he's our boss, to figure out and then give me direction. So is Alyssa being effective? Yeah, she's being a great effective coworker. Is Austin being an effective leader? No, not if he can't give me an answer to surpass those hurdles. So it also, I think, depends on the level that you're at and the level that you're talking about.
So for me, to chime in on that, so being a leader, being someone that's supposed to lead by example, I don't have a problem with showing some of my representatives how to do things the right way. But where I'm not going to keep doing it is if they continually keep coming to ask me the same repetitive questions. And it's just because they are either lazy or don't care to take the time to learn how to do it themselves. That's where I'm not going to continue to keep wasting my valuable time, you know, showing them how to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
So then what do you do?
I tell them to go research it. We have a back office thing called My CSP. It's where like all the internal articles are. It tells you exactly how to do things step by step. So my ask of my employees is that they go research that stuff first before they come knocking on my door and asking me these questions. And the same thing goes for my ASMs, my assistant store managers. Before they come and ask me a question, I'm going to ask them, well, did you do the research first? And if the answer is, yeah, I did it, it just didn't make sense to me, or yeah, I did it and I still didn't understand it, then that's different. But if you're just like, no, I didn't do it, okay, well, why? Like, why should I continue to keep taking time out of what I need to get done to walk you through something that you should already know how to do? Especially if I've already shown you how to do it numerous times. But that's just how I feel.
I can understand that situation can be very frustrating. Very frustrating to try to teach someone over and over and over again, and they still don't get it. It could be the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing but expecting a different outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes you have to just get someone else to teach them with different words or different methods, because yours isn't getting through the thick wall of concrete that they have. Sometimes that's like a real hard issue to get through. But by the same token, it's very frustrating for the employee, because they're like, I just don't get it. I know he's told me this. I know I've done it. I know I've read it, but it makes absolutely no sense to me. What is my issue? What is my problem? Why can I not understand this? And that gets frustrating too.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like I said, that's different if they're coming to you and they don't fully understand. Maybe they need more development. Then that becomes something on the leader manager part for sure. But like some of the basic things that they should know after going through training, after being shown how to do it the right way, not only by myself or my managers, but by their peers. Because that's the other thing I encourage them to do, is to reach out to their peers as well, people that have been with the company for a while. Reach out and ask them for help. You don't always have to come, grab one of us managers every time they need help with something, really small. I challenge every single one of my employees to run the business as if it was their own. So.
Alyssa, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't really know how frustrating it is, but I know sometimes, like, my manager has told me multiple things over and over, and you either like forget, or like it's just really hard to understand. But usually if I have to ask multiple times, like, I go and ask someone else just in case they explain it easier. So sometimes it is like you just don't understand how they're saying it, but you understand how someone else explains it.
And I'm the kind of person where it's like, I don't want to leave a room unless I understand. Because I hate going back and asking like 6,000 times the same question. I'm like, we're going to sit here until I understand, and then we can all leave. But like, I love taking like lots of notes. Like, I carry a notebook everywhere I go at work, because I'm just like writing stuff down. Because I don't want to be that coworker that's just like, I don't get it, or I'm too lazy to, write it down and really think about it or do some research. Like, I think it really kind of shows like what kind of employee you are, like, with how much effort and work you're willing to put into it,
For sure. It does. I mean, you do definitely, as a leader, see efforts that are put in. That never goes unnoticed, of course. So it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Well, since we're talking about definitions, what are your definitions of effectiveness? What does that mean? Anyone can chime in.
I mean, effectiveness could mean a lot of different things, especially to each person. I guess in terms of being an effective leader, did I effectively, make you feel comfortable, walk you through the day-to-day tasks? Did I effectively communicate what I'm looking for out of you? And also, um, did I effectively communicate to you my role, what your role is, all that kind of stuff? So, um, if not, then there needs to be open communication so that way we can discuss amongst each other to figure out how we can effectively work together to achieve whatever the goal is.
I think that's really how you have to look at it is, what goals you have for yourself and your employees and how you're working together to get them done. So, then I was thinking about it, I was like, well, can you be an effective leader and not have effective subordinates?
Yeah, that's a.
Because it seems like they would go hand in hand.
Yeah, you could be a great leader, but if you get if you get people that are not that great, or that are not maybe that don't want to follow you or want to follow your dream, then you're right. I think it could definitely stifle your progress. But the same token, you also have to think about, a leader is very, or should be very good at conveying a message and conveying a vision. Can you convince the people that you are leading to follow your vision, to buy into it, and therefore to go forward with it? I mean, that's one of the things that you do have to kind of also look at and think about, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I think you have to look at the vision and the goals for the company, and then the vision and goals of you as a leader and the people that are right under you, and how they all work together, because you have to all have the same vision in your small group that works with the larger vision of the company.
Definitely. I feel like it's all kind of progressive, right? It's one based on the other. And if you don't have one, you don't have the other. You can't follow someone that doesn't know what they're doing. And you can't lead someone who doesn't want to be led. That makes sense.
And I think an effective leader, if you have someone that doesn't want to be led, then you have to figure out what to do with it. Because if you just leave that person there and you don't offer them training, or you don't offer to help them or coach them or get them a mentor or something, as an effective leader, if they're not going to comply, then you have to do what people hate to do, and you have to let them go and try and get someone else or move them into a different department or whatever you have to do. But an effective leader also just won't let a person sit there stagnant.
Well, you would set them up for failure, and that's the last thing you want to do as a leader. You set them up for failure. You want to make sure you continue to progress, and staying stagnant is the opposite of that. So it's very true. Very true. But I think that kind of also falls on the employee as well. If you know that this isn't your thing, you hate going to work every single day, and you just would rather stab yourself in the eye with a wooden rotting stick, then that's obviously not the place for you, right? I would say you need to jump ship and go find something that you love. Because who wants to go to work when you're just please, someone run me over? Like, I would hate to be that person. I know for me, like, people think of my job and they're like, why? Why would you want to stare at numbers all day long, forever? Like, who wants to do that? And I'm like, I do. Yeah. If I don't have to talk to people, I will stare at an Excel sheet, a workbook with multiple sheets all day long. Just don't make me talk to people. So, yeah. I mean, what would your perfect leadership role be if you had a choice? What do you envision being your perfect leadership roles? Austin?
Oh God, is there really a perfect one?
What?
What would you envision as you being the perfect leader of?
I mean, to where I show up to the store or area manager, whatever role I'm in, and every person that I've helped train, coach, whatever, that they show up and they're ready to go. They're coming to you with a game plan. They're telling you exactly what they're going to do today, what you can expect to see. They're basically giving you a game plan and giving you kind of pep talk before the shift starts, which is typically not the case. It's usually the other way around. I'm usually leading the morning huddle, the afternoon huddle, depending on what time my reps are coming in. Same thing with my store managers. I'm letting them know, okay, this is what you need to get done today. This is how many coaching conversations you need to have today. This is everything that needs to be done. So if I could show up and that's already done for me, they're basically telling me what they're going to do, then, I mean, shoot, my job's done. I might as well just go home. So not really go home, but you know what I mean.
Alyssa, for you?
Probably to work with people who are willing to learn and not afraid of a new challenge. Just anyone who's open to learn new things and not like shut anything out, like if they don't like it.
Becky?
So so someday I'm going to be director of my department, just saying. And I think about how the director now, he has like 3 department heads that he really depends upon. And he doesn't rely on them, I think, like he should. And so I think I look at him and kind of like what he's not doing and like how I would want to do it differently, and really put some of the work and the effort back on them to disperse information to their people or whatever it may be. I feel like he kind of gets in a little zone and he's focused, and sometimes he doesn't see that whole big picture. So I'd really want to focus on the vision that we just recently created, and really get people energized and excited again. It's government work, and so people do, I feel, get a jaded, and they stay in those jobs even though they don't like them a whole lot, but they've got their pensions and they're just waiting to retire, So I think about ways that I would try and, get people inspired again.
What about you, Sandy?
Oh, my passion as a leader has always been to bring my team to the next level. Because when they push, then I need to push. And, there's been many times in my life where I've only been able to get to where I needed to be going somewhere else because there's been a glass ceiling. So for me, that's a huge, huge thing where I'm a minority woman who is a single mom who people do not always take as seriously as should be taken because I am a woman. And so sometimes they're like, well, until I kind of have to prove myself and be like, listen, I'm smarter than you think I am, and I will call you out on your stuff. So let's just get over that little fact that I am going to be the only woman that is sitting on this table, and let's just get over that and move forward. So a lot of times that's been a big hurdle for me. So for me, that's where I want to be. I want to be able to get to a team of all women that I can elevate to the next role and prove to all the men that are old and grumpy and sitting on that table that women have the same brain power and that we can crunch numbers just like they can, and we can make things work. So that's where my goal is. That's my soapbox. So yeah, I definitely want to be an effective leader that way. What else am I missing that we're supposed to be talking about, guys?
It says additional discussion questions. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you always want to stand for? Listing your 5 most important values and their definitions. List 2 or 3 things you did in the past few weeks that demonstrate any of the above values. And then it goes on from there. But so, I mean, I chose 8 because it was hard to narrow it down to 5, but essentially one of the ones I chose was authenticity for one of them. Be the same person every occasion in life. Don't act differently in front of your parents, friends, coworkers, in-laws, strangers. Stay true to yourself and never be afraid of other people's judgments. Truthfulness. Tell the truth, always, especially when it comes to your own life. Don't have money. Don't pretend that you're wealthy. Never went to college. Own it. Be honest about who and what you've done. You'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror with pride. Joyfulness. Life is short. Do things that bring you joy and never do something you hate for longer than necessary. Enjoy the small things, music, other people, working out, walking, laying down, reading, and so forth. Curiosity. Get to the bottom of everything that you do, not because you must, but because it's fun to know things. Life is fascinating. Acknowledge it, and then try to understand it, but leave it at trying. Some things can't be understood, but you can still admire it. Responsibility. Own your actions, mistakes, and current life situation. Understand what's in your control and fully own it. Don't like something, change it, but don't take responsibility for things that are not on your plate. Focus on yourself. What other adults do is not your concern. Know your responsibility. And then I also chose love, fearlessness, and loyalty. Those are some of the major values, I think, that I stand for and that I always want to stand for.
Alyssa?
So my 5 were balance, determination, friendships, honesty, and happiness. And balance for me, it means like allowing myself to be happy but also healthy at the same time. And determination is constantly setting goals for myself and working for them. For friendships, I put surrounding yourself with people who will be there for you physically and emotionally. And honesty, just being real and honest with yourself about who you are and who you want to be. And happiness, I put being happy with yourself and surrounding yourself with people who make you happy. Those are my 5 values.
Becky?
So I had a hard time because I thought I picked a lot of the values that the book did, and so my first one, so I tried to pick different ones than the most popular, but I did pick honest because I think that's really important. having a big family, we have 5 kids, and so there's always like honesty issues even at home, and so I think being honest is one thing, but you're being truthful and you're not withholding parts of information, because I feel like that's also not being honest.
I
You're not
understand what you mean.
the whole truth. It really bothers me when people just tell me pieces of the truth and consider that the truth.
And your kids think that you're gonna buy it.
Right. But I think that happens at work too, but I see it a lot at home. And I also put, as part of honest, like standing up for what's right. And I realize that kind of gets into like ethical, but I put that in there. And then I put helpful, asking others for help, or and just making sure that things are getting done and dispersing the load kind of thing. I put consistent, because it drives me crazy when things are all over the place and you get different answers, and it's like I just want some procedures and policies and processes to follow that helps get some consistency. I put caring, being emotionally aware of others, and inquiring of others if you see like something might be a little off, and just to show people you care. I think that's especially important as a leader. And being direct. So I am not a person that likes to sugarcoat it and beat around the bush. Like, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to let you know what I need, when I need it. And there's not going to be any like discrepancy of what we thought. Sandra?
So my 5 were balance, caring, love, happiness, and direct. Balance is a huge issue for me in my life. I tend to be a tad bit of a workaholic. So I have to remember that I have other things that I could be doing, like having fun or being a mom or sleeping. That is a big thing for me. Like, I need to be able to have balance in my life for that. Because all I do is deal with numbers all day, I tend to lose my humanity. I tend to dissociate people from codes and numbers and the bottom line. And so I'm constantly having to tell myself, okay, but I still have to remember that these numbers represent a person or a person's life. Love, I'm not a person that's very lovey-dovey. And so I need to remember that. I need to remember to be more loving towards people and others. And it also goes along with happiness. Because I think I've been in such a hostile work environment, I tend to have a poker face. And so I always look like I'm having a lot of fun and everything's great, and I could be having the crappiest day ever. People are like, how are you? I'm like, I'm great. How are you? And that's not what's really happening. And then direct, I have to remember that there's people that don't take my directness in a most positive fashion. So I have to remember to sugarcoat things a little more before they actually come exiting out of my mouth. And I have to remember to be like, okay, remember who this person is. Remember your humanity. Remember they need love too. How are you going to say this so that they don't feel like you just came down on them very harshly? So those are my 5 values. All right. What else?
So it sounds like quite a few that we had were similar, and then obviously some are different. Which is okay. There's going to be diversity even within our group. But based on that list that everyone just read off, it says list 2 or 3 things you did in the past week that demonstrates any of the above values that you said. For myself, I guess over this last weekend, I had my entire team over to my house for a barbecue. They did really well, so I challenged my team that if we finished first place, I'd have them all over and we'd do that. And so for me, it was acting with authenticity, so meaning that I would be myself here. My personal life is the same I am at work. I don't deviate away from, my true self, away from my core values. I let my team know that I definitely care for them. I want, whatever's best for them, whether that's staying within AT&T or helping them get to wherever they need to be, within their career and within their personal life. So I think that's very important for me in becoming a better version of myself, a better leader, just staying true to who I am and, letting my team know that it's okay to be yourself no matter what you're going through.
So I had 2 examples, and one's really quick. So I was in the bathroom and someone came in and was crying in the other stall. And, I didn't know what was wrong, and I didn't want to get into it because sometimes people don't want to tell you what's wrong, and so I just asked her. I couldn't recognize the shoes, so I didn't know who it was. But are you okay? That's all I asked, not like, what's wrong? Tell me what's wrong. And, just family problems, and it's like, okay, well, if you want to talk, you can come talk to me, like I'm open to listening, just so they know someone cares. Because some people would just be like, oh gosh, someone's crying, I'm getting out of here right now, because it's awkward or they don't want to talk. So I try and have that balance of not being like intrusive if someone's emotional and not totally ignoring it, somewhere in the middle. But I have a project that I'm working on. We're going paperless. The government takes a while to do that. So we're going paperless, and I'm in charge of doing this. And so I have these monthly meetings, and I write down lists of what exactly people are supposed to talk about. And, I have this strict agenda. And,
but are you writing it down on paper?
Yes. I print copies of it too. I bring paper to the paperless meeting. But at the end of the day, when we're done, I sit there and I go person by person and I go, okay, this is what I have for you. You're going to do A, B, Z, Y, D, C, Z. By this day at this time, you're going to report back about this. Kind of like what I was telling you guys, like I make sure that everyone knows what they're doing and supposed to be doing and what they're to report back. Like direct, this is what you're doing. Come back and tell me what happened, Yes. Anyway, those are my 2.
I love it. Love it. Alyssa?
I have 2, and they're both pretty quick. But for balance, so I knew I was gonna go to a Memorial Day party this weekend. So I decided to, eat good all week. And so at the barbecue, I was able to drink some margaritas. And then for friendships, they're really important to me. So I'm helping, I'm planning a baby shower for my friend. Yeah, those are my 2. How about you, Sandra?
Okay. For balance, I have decided to take a vacation from the 25th of August to the 29th of August, and I am not going to work. I'm not even turning my laptop on. That's going to be my little piece of balance. And then for, I'm combining caring, loving, and happiness all into one. I decided that I was not going to kill my children this week for being late to their last day of class. And they get to stay alive one more day, even though they made me late, they were late, everyone was late. But I was like, no, we're going to be caring, loving, and happiness. And we're going to keep 2 children alive. That's what we're going to do this week. That was my contribution.
Where are you going for vacation?
I'm going to go to Hawaii.
Wow.
I've never been there. So that's where I'm going to go. So I've decided.
Did you say you're taking your kids?
No.
Okay, then it's a real vacation.
No, they are not coming. No. Talk to my brother and talk to my sister. I'm like, hey, I have 2 kids. You guys have 4 arms and 2 bodies. Would you be interested in taking care of them for these couple of days? You give me a grocery list and I will buy you whatever you want. And they're like, sure, can we stay at your house? I'm like, yes, you can stay at my house. And they're like, cool, we have access to everything. I'm like, everything. So yeah, they're going to be staying here, taking care of a couple kids and partying it up. Hopefully my house will not be destroyed by the time I get back. So yeah.
Are you going to the Big Island, or where are you going?
I'm going to be going to a couple.
Okay.
So I'm going to spend a day and a half on one of the resorts in Maui. And then I'm going to take a little jumper boat to the one with the K.
Kona?
No, the other one.
Kauai?
There you go. That one. That one. And so I'm trying to get another girlfriend of mine to come out there with me. So she's working on it. It'll be a girls' time in Hawaii. It'll be fun. We've gone to Jamaica and we went to Grand Cayman together as well. And we had a blast. And so I was like, let's go to Hawaii. She's like, oh yeah, twist my arm. No, let's go. So it works out. It works out. All right, what else do we need to discuss? We have 15 more minutes left.
All right, the next thing was review some of these purposeful questions from table 4.1 on page 83, which you should ask daily about teamwork, respect, learning, continuous improvement, and customer focus.
Yeah, so for me, I kind of like this, so I took a picture of it, and I'm going to share it with my team at work about the teamwork, respect, learning, continuous improvement, and customer focus. I think a lot of this just really plays into the atmosphere within my store, especially, like, what did you do today to lend a hand to a colleague? Acknowledge the work of one of your colleagues. So instead of like, because it gets pretty competitive month in and month out. You're continuously trying to be obviously number one on dashboard, on scorecard, whatever. But what did you do to help build up your teammates? So that way, we're all being successful, because you can't just have one person carrying the team consistently. If everyone's participating, then we're just going to be killing everybody. We're going to blow everyone out of the water. So everyone can always obviously improve. What did you learn? And then customer focus. You'd be surprised, like, a lot of the suggestions that people leave within the comments that you get. So like after you come in and we sold you a phone, you're probably going to get a text message the next day, and then you're going to leave a comment. Sometimes it's stuff that doesn't even pertain to us at all, but then some of it is pretty good feedback. So how did you take that, and what did you gather from that, so that way you can move forward and deliver a better experience to your next customer. So I personally liked it. Like I said, I took a picture. I'm going to share it with my team.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I always struggle sometimes with these because I feel like they're written for more of the private industry. So sometimes it's hard to translate into the government. Like the customer focus, like I don't really work with customers. You know, we don't have people that are, I mean, our department does, we pull permits and stuff. So we do have citizens and developers and contractors coming in to make applications and stuff like that. But not many people actually work directly with them. So I sit in the back and I don't ever go to the front counter. So I don't really work with like customers. But that doesn't mean that I should forget about them, because at the end of the day, they are what make it possible for me to have a job. You know, if they didn't come in and pull permits and stuff, then it wouldn't pay for my wages. So I think sometimes, you know, and I think it's pretty typical, people think in government jobs that you aren't very customer focused. So it's just hard sometimes to correlate it all. Whereas, you know, like Austin, all you do is work with customers almost, you know, and in maybe corporate and acting as a liaison or something between them. But, you know, we don't have as much customer focus. And I think that's something where we really lack when, at the end of the day, when people do come in, people don't want to go talk to them, you know, they're like, oh, I don't want to go to the front counter. And, you know, then it's like, well, we've lost our customer focus, and that's really who we're there to serve, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think too, sometimes, and this is just maybe my opinion, because when I was thinking about what you said, all I could think of was like, oh, the DMV, I hate going there and they hate to see me too, which is why I started chuckling. But yeah, I can see how that, like, I don't necessarily deal with customers either, because all I deal is with numbers, but those numbers represent people, and I guess those are our clients. So I can see how there's an indirect connection, like you on your end. But it kind of goes back to that thing about, you know, trying not to lose your humanity and still care that they have needs. And I try to put myself in their shoes. Like, what would I do if I needed something and I had to go, and even though I don't want to talk to them, they don't want to talk to me, but we still need to go ahead and make things happen, kind of a thing. So that sometimes helps.
No, that's definitely true.
So for you guys that don't have like a real customer facing job, I mean, I guess you could challenge yourself. Do people leave comments at all? Is there like a suggestion box, anything like that? Or thinking outside, like, how am I going to challenge not only yourself, but your organization to make it maybe easier, more seamless to pull a permit, like for you, Becca? I'm sure, I mean, I don't know, I've never pulled a permit, so I couldn't tell you what that process is like, or if it's painful. I mean, I don't know. But like you said, at the DMV, you know, if I'm working at the DMV, how could I make that process a little less painful? Is it, like you said, everyone dreads going to the DMV, right? Like, nobody likes it. I don't think I've ever met one person that likes going to the DMV. If you do, you and I are probably not going to get along because you're a weirdo. But that's, like, I mean, I don't know. So I guess that could be like a challenge to you. How are you going to make your organization or your part of that business Charlie, a little, you know, easier, a little more seamless, like I was saying. So, but I mean, the rest of it definitely could all work for you guys. The continuous improvement, learning, respect, and teamwork. I mean, even though you guys don't necessarily work with the customer face, the rest of it, I think you guys all work on a team, at least with people. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I definitely work with a team, just not with people outside of my team. So yeah, that makes sense. Alyssa, how about you?
I mean, I work in customer service, so I deal with customers all day on the phone, email, all that. So I'm very customer based.
AKA, she has a lot more patience than I do.
I always tell people at work, I was like, if you want to get me to quit, just make me work the front counter all day.
I like it.
That's good. We need people who like it. We need people up there. So people like Becky and I don't have to be up there. We need people like you in this world.
Well, thankfully it's like over the phone, so I'm able to like take a breath or something, but I never see them face to face. So if it was face to face, I'd probably be just like you guys.
Oh, not bad.
Austin's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Now you make me feel bad, Austin. I think I need to be nicer to the AT&T guys when I go in there.
If you're not, they might kick you out.
Well,
I'd like to see them try.
I've run a few people out of AT&T.
AKA, don't go to Austin's store.
I only usually throw people out if they're disrespecting my employees or if they're starting to become vulgar, causing a scene, ruining the experience for other customers. That's when I'm probably going to ask you to leave. Just because there's a way to even if, you know, it is our mistake or something that we caused or did or the company, there's ways to handle it without getting irate, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you're coming in screaming at us, that doesn't make us want to help you at all. It actually makes us want to do the opposite. So, you know, it's just treat others how you want to be treated, right?
Exactly.
So you come in, you explain what happened. There was a mistake made on your account. You know, you get double charged or whatever it is. You know, we're going to probably be willing to look into it. We're going to want to help you because we feel bad for you. But if you come in, you know, using foul language and calling us lots of names that we didn't deserve, then yeah, we're probably going to ask you to leave and not come back ever again. So,
can you ban someone from the store?
I can. I mean, I usually have to funnel it up and get it approved. You usually have to do some pretty nasty things, threaten to, you know, want to meet us outside in the parking lot, do all sorts of crazy things. I've heard all sorts of things. I've had things thrown at me.
Oh my gosh.
People get irate over their AT&T bill. Or they were promised, you know, a phone or something or whatever. They misunderstood the promotion or who knows. Things happen. But like I said, there's a proper way to handle it, and there's a way that'll definitely get you escorted out of the store. So.
And Austin, I mean, while he's saying this, he's like perfectly calm and collected, even tone with a smile on his face. I mean, he is perfect for that job. Look at him. He's just like, yeah, ish happens. You just got to handle it.
Have you ever had a person like that, Alyssa, that they're being rude and you just hang up on them?
I've had to hang up one time. But, like, I warn them, like, if you, like, keep talking like that, I'm going to have to, like, hang up. Like, I'm going to have to hang up. So I just hang up.
There you go.
But we're allowed to do that.
That's so much easier than
names or being rude. I'm like, oh, my God.
I just think about how I would physically get someone out the door. What if they won't leave? Can you touch them?
No, you can't put your hands on them. You just have to let them know that.
But a rope can. Just kidding.
You have to let them know, you know, that it's our right to refuse service to anybody. We've asked you to leave. You know, if you continue to keep doing what you're doing and you're not going to leave the premises, then at that point you're trespassing, and I'm going to call the police. And they will come force you to leave. So I've definitely done that as well. I've had to call the cops numerous times. But,
oh my gosh. Nope, couldn't do it.
No.
I would be like, here's your options. Either you walk out, I taser you,
Dang.
Or I drag you out by your nostril hair. How would you like to do that? Like, I would not. I'm not a very nice person. When it comes to that, listen. No, we are not going to play this game. It would just not be a good sign. This is why Austin is so great at his job, I'm sure. Because look at him, he's like calm. So if you do not leave, I will have to call the police. He'll be like, you son of a winter schnitzel, get out!
I'd be like scared. I'd be under the desk like hiding. I'm like, no, just leave. You're scaring me.
Oh no.
I mean, in the moment, your voice definitely raises. Tension gets high. I've definitely gotten pretty heated a few times, but you try not to. You try and take a deep breath and be the bigger person. So it doesn't always work that way, but you try.
Because there's no one at the store higher than you, right?
Correct.
So it's not like you could be like, let me get my supervisor because you're it.
People ask, they're like, call your boss. And I was like, I'm not calling my boss. Like, I'm not dragging my boss into this. This is stupid. You need to leave.
You're like, I am the boss, bruh. As my brother would say, bruh, you looking at the boss.
I mean, a lot of people will be like, they don't like your answer, so they'll say, let me speak to another manager. I'll just go grab one of my other assistant store managers and I'll tell them. I mean, we're all gonna.
Here's what I said. Here's what you're gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're all gonna have each other's backs. We're not gonna be like, I'm not gonna throw my manager under the bus and be like, yeah, no, sorry, what he told you is wrong. Like, we're just gonna go ahead and fix this for you, even though no, it doesn't work that way. Like, gotta have each other's backs. I mean, obviously, if one of them was clearly in the wrong, you know, I would fix the issue, let the customer know we'll handle it, and then handle the situation with the person that was wrong off-site. I'm not going to do it right in front of the customer because that's belittling. But
Well, I'm glad you like your job, Austin. I want you to stay there.
some days.
Yeah.
Not when we don't hit our sales goals and then I get yelled at the next morning in my morning meeting with my boss. So that's not fun.
Yeah, those are my favorite too. What do you mean you didn't bring in 9 million? What is wrong with you? Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So for this one, to finish our assignment, we need to do what?
I thought it said to write a paragraph.
Yeah, I think that was on the top of the instructions. I would look, guys, but I can't minimize while I'm recording. It already yelled at me once for doing that.
So yeah, it says please send in a paragraph length reflection on your 1 hour meeting in the text box, nothing or noting your level of participation, the level and enthusiasm of participation of your peers, and a brief rundown of your major discussions. Just one paragraph, please. Also be sure to submit a recording of your 1 hour meeting. That's it.
Pretty much just like last time.
Get it. And sorry it took forever last time. So what happens is after this, then I stop the recording. Then it gives me 3 files. It gives me an audio, a video, and an actual MP4. The MP4 is what I upload up to YouTube, but it has to convert to those 3 files first. And that takes, depending on your internet, it could take anywhere from like 30 minutes to like 2 hours. And then I have to upload it to YouTube, and once again, it's the same story. Just depends on your internet speed and how fast it'll upload and make it be public and kind of go from there. So sorry if it's a delay.
Well, the good news is this one doesn't have to be turned in until Thursday night.
True, but I'll definitely get this out to you as soon as I can, for sure.
So that's good.
All right, guys, I think we've concluded our meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good job.
See you next week.
Bye.